Okay, we're gonna attempt to do things kind of quickly. The Jaguars have won a football game. Welcome to the Team Report podcast. Not a lot of offense. There were some exciting moments in the football game. Jarius Jones had a good game. The defensive back, cornerback, third round selection in the 2024 draft. He had a good game. He was playing some good football. Mac Jones got a win, but not much offense. The Jaguars win the game 10-6. Brian Thomas Jr. had, some good plays as well in the football game. So you got some pieces on this team. Wide receiver Brian Thomas Jr. Everybody's got to be all in on him. The late first round draft pick that I think Balky and the Jaguars were very fortunate. He was still there when they picked at 23 overall, late in the first round in 2024. The draft has got to be different in 2025. It's got to be about offensive guards, an offensive tackle. If you want to go cornerback, maybe second or fourth round again. I think there's been a couple of decent defensive backs selected in the draft. Jarius Jones, we saw he plays hard, number 22. He plays really hard, and I wanted to salute him on our Teal Shirt Report podcast. Jarius Jones plays really hard. The third round pick out of Florida State. He was picked by the Jaguars in obviously the third round of the 2024 draft as a cornerback. And a lot of people said, well, the best cornerbacks are gone, but this guy's playing pretty good football. I do like Monteris Brown, who was a much later draft pick a couple of years ago. Buster Brown, they call him. He seems like he's all over the field. And these guys are getting a lot of playing time. They really are. Cornerback Tyson Campbell's a big part of this football team. So I think you got some, and of course I like AJ Antonio Johnson. These guys are the future of this franchise going forward, at least for the next couple of years. And most of them that I've mentioned are on rookie deals. Jaguars beat the Titans 10-6. Mac Jones played okay. Nothing phenomenal. I think maybe what I saw with Mac Jones was he's starting to kind of ease into the offense a little bit. Is the talent there? Could be. I think that there may be timing issues on some of the passes. I think the play calling at times is subpar. I'm not going to say it's bad. I'm not going to say it's good. I think it's a little subpar at times. It's probably the nicest thing I can say about the play calling. Um, Tank Bigsby. Tank Bigsby got a touchdown, right? Was that the only touchdown of the ball game? Wow. The Titans led the game 6-0. Jaguars came back with a field goal. What was it, toward the very end of the first half or somewhere in there, and they got within 6-3. The field goal kicker for the Jaguars, Cam Little, has done a really good job as a rookie. So I think you got your field goal kicker going forward. You got a very good punter on this team. I understand the punter was not 100% going into this game, but he still kicked. He still played. Anton Harrison did not go. I don't think I ever heard what the injury was. I just heard something to the effect of right tackle Anton Harrison was not feeling well, like he got an illness or sickness before the game started. And that's very interesting to say the least. So Jaguars win 10-6. Around the NFL, pretty good football games. I think there's any surprises. Tampa Bay won. I picked Tampa to cover, and lo and behold, they did. The Tampa Bay Bucks 28, Las Vegas Raiders 13. The Giants gave the Saints a battle in New York. New Orleans Saints 14, New York Giants 11. Minnesota killed the Falcons. Detroit won the Thursday night game by 3 points. Miami Dolphins won. Miami Dolphins 32, the Jets 26. Though Miami did not cover the spread, but they won. The Miami Dolphins 32, the New York Jets 26. Again, Tampa Bay 28, the Las Vegas Raiders 13. Carolina gave the Eagles a pretty good match. Philadelphia was like a 12.5-point favorite when the poll came out. Philadelphia won by 6 points. Philadelphia Eagles 22, Carolina Panthers 16. The Browns have fallen apart. I thought they'd give the Steelers a better game, even though the game was in Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh covered the 6.5 points. I went with Cleveland. That was a mistake. Cleveland, Cleveland, man, they might be worse than the Jaguars or the Titans right now. However, Cleveland had a pretty good team early in the year when they beat the Jaguars. Sometimes timing is everything. Whenever you happen to meet these teams, whether they're on a kind of a good cycle, a bad cycle, you know, I was a real believer in sports biorhythms. I read the book years ago when I was a kid, and sometimes in football or any sport, you feel better, like you're on a roll, or you just feel like you can do anything, and it's a natural thing. It's a natural time where an athlete feels more comfortable, feels more fluid than other times, and you see that with players, athletes, and perhaps even teams combined collectively. Pittsburgh Steelers 27, Cleveland Browns 14. Seattle Seahawks all of a sudden came up with some offense. I'm glad I moved the Arizona Cardinals defense out in my Yahoo league and put the Jaguars in, even though I lost that game. Jaguars defense was pretty good to me. Seattle Seahawks 30, Arizona Cardinals 18, the final. 49ers ripped the Chicago Bears. I picked the 49ers to cover the 3.5 points. I had no idea the 49ers were mad after losing to Buffalo in the snow. San Francisco 49ers 38, the Chicago Bears 13. The Buffalo Bills, I think the situation with the Bills, maybe their defense isn't playing as good as it has in the past. Although they played good in the snow against the 49ers. Los Angeles Rams won the game 44-42 over the Buffalo Bills. And I think it was a case of Buffalo played so good against San Francisco. This was a bit of kind of a letdown game for Buffalo. It was in Los Angeles. You got to take that trip all the way across the country. And all these things collectively come into play, whether you want to believe it or not, especially in professional football or professional sports of any kind. Los Angeles Rams 44, Buffalo Bills 42. The Dallas Cowboys play Cincinnati Bengals at Dallas. I'm taking Dallas. Cincinnati's like a 5.5 point favorite in the pool. I took Dallas. I do need to find, because I did go to sleep and I got a lot of sleep last night. You know how that goes. So I'm going to pull up. I've got to find the Kansas City score. Let me find the Kansas City score. By the way, the college football playoffs are set. Congratulations to Georgia on winning the SEC championship game. Georgia beat Texas 22-19 back on Saturday. What was that? Saturday, December the 7th, because it's Monday morning now. It's double nickels, 55 degrees in Jacksonville, Florida. We hit a low of 52 earlier this morning, so it's not quite as cold. Tampa Bay Buccaneers 28, Las Vegas Raiders 13. Let me see if I can find the Kansas City score. And let's see. Kansas City did win the game. But again, I think this is like the third game in a row Kansas City wins, but they don't cover. Kansas City beat the Chargers 19-17. The Chiefs a 3.5 point favorite, so they don't cover. Let me go into that score a little deeper. The home field advantage for Kansas City is huge, because when the stadium really gets to rocking in Kansas City, it looks like it's moving. That's how I feel about it. However, let's give Jim Harbaugh some credit. They went to Kansas City. They got close, but Kansas City wins the game. It was a low-scoring game, too. A couple of good defenses. Kansas City Chiefs 19, LA Chargers 17. I do want to say something about the SEC championship game. Georgia has some pretty good running backs, but I think the key to Georgia's team, and Carson Beck was injured during the game, and Stockton had to come, and he played pretty well. Boy, he took a hit where his helmet came off. That was a ricochet. That was like a car wreck almost, the hit he was in. And I guess you'd say, well, he walked away from it, but he went out of the game, had to go out of the game for one play because his helmet came off, as I understand it. Carson Beck came in to hand the ball off for the winning touchdown in overtime. Man, it was amazing. And if I have to take a look at one thing in this SEC football championship game, I think you look at the Georgia defensive backs. The Georgia defensive backs are pretty good. I'm going to say they're good, and they may be the reason why Georgia won that game. Uh, Texas had every opportunity to win that game. Texas may actually have a better team, may actually have slightly better talent. But I found myself rooting for Georgia. They're an old charter SEC football team. They won the game, and it was huge. Georgia 22, Texas 19 in overtime. Oregon won the Big Ten title. Oregon 45, Penn State 17. Clemson surprised a lot of people and got in the playoff, and that's probably why Alabama's not in, because the committee took SMU, who had a better record than that. And what happened is now you got more than one team in the ACC. We'll take a look at the playoff in a moment, but Clemson won the ACC championship 34-31. Oregon won the Big Ten title. It's amazing to say Oregon won the Big Ten title. Oregon 45, Penn State 31. Georgia wins the SEC football championship game in Atlanta. Georgia 22, Texas 19, a final in overtime. The Ohio Bobcats won the MAC title. Ohio Bobcats 38, Miami over Ohio Redskins 3. Well, they're called the Red Hawks now. Been the Red Hawks for many, many years, but they used to be the Redskins back in the 70s, Miami of Ohio. But Ohio won this one. Ohio Bobcats 38, Miami of Ohio 3. Arizona State won the Big 12, and they're going, I'm not going to call it the dance, but they're going to the 12-team playoff. Arizona State 45, Iowa State 19. Maybe Arizona State had too much speed for Iowa State. Arizona State 45, Iowa State 19. As Arizona State wins the Big 12 title. The Army Cadets win the AAC championship game. Army 35, Tulane 14. Boise State on the Mountain West. Now, they're getting into the playoffs not because they won the Mountain West championship, but because they were ranked high enough to get in. But a big win, and they'll take the Mountain West title. Boise State 21, UNLV 7. That game was played on Friday, going back to Friday, December the 6th. The AAC championship game, Army 35, Tulane 14. That was also played on Friday, on December the 6th. The rest of those title games in college football were played on Saturday, December the 7th. Playoffs, college football playoffs. I had a little rundown on college football and the playoffs. I want to thank Gerald Rogers from our Big J Report Facebook group. I think he was the first one to post the playoffs. Gerald, thank you very much. And he's got the bracket in there and everything in the Big J Report Facebook group. By the way, Florida is going to be in the Gasparilla Bowl, not the playoff, but the Gasparilla Bowl on December the 20th at 3:30 p.m. That game is played in Tampa, Florida at Raymond James Stadium. Gators will play Tulane. Tulane, who lost to Army and Tulane was a big favorite. They were favored to win that game, but they didn't have a good game. Army, man, you can never discount one of those military academies. Army, can you imagine how big and important that is to the Army Academy? That the Army Cadets have won a conference championship, a Division I conference championship in college football, be it mid-major. Florida will play Tulane in the Gasparilla Bowl, 3:30 December the 20th at Raymond James Stadium in Tampa. Let me see if I could pull. Looks like Dave Mason is going to be at the Florida Theater on March 31st. Little North Florida entertainment there. College football SEC championship football game, Georgia 22, Texas 19, a final in overtime. Let's see how the Gasparilla Bowl, Florida and Tulane will be December the 20th. I heard the Gators were also invited to the Liberty Bowl, but they chose the Gasparilla Bowl because it was in the state of Florida, where more of Florida's fans can be there down in Tampa. Give the Jaguars. Jaguars beat the Titans. Jaguars 10, Titans 6. Two teams going nowhere, both 3-10. Okay, so let me find the play. We had some playoff seedings. It was the famous Gerald Rogers from our Big J Report Facebook group was the first one to post the playoff scenario, and here we go looking at it. Now there's four teams that get a bye: Oregon, Georgia, the Arizona State Sun Devils, and Boise State all get the bye, and that's interesting. Clemson won the ACC title, but they don't get the bye. But Boise State did. Boise State had a better record than Clemson, ranked higher. Um, so we take a look at the teams that will be playing the first week. The 12th seed Clemson will play the Texas Longhorns, the 5th seed. SMU will play Penn State. SMU is the 11th seed. Penn State is the number 6 seed. The four teams getting the bye: Oregon is the number 1 seed. Georgia, the number 2 seed. Boise State, number 3. Arizona State, number 4. Those are the four teams getting the bye in the college football playoff. In the other side of the bracket, Tennessee will play Ohio State. Tennessee seeded 9th, Ohio State 8th. Indiana is in the playoff with the 10th seed. They will play Notre Dame, the 7th seed. That's a pretty good matchup. Notre Dame from South Bend, Indiana. They will play the Indiana Hoosiers. And again, the four teams getting the bye the first week. Georgia and Boise State get a bye. Georgia will wait. It looks like the way the bracket is set up, Georgia will await the winner of the Indiana Notre Dame game to play Georgia. Oregon gets a bye. The number 1 seed. Georgia gets a bye. The number 2 seed. Boise State is the number 3 seed. They get a bye. Arizona State, the number 4 seed, get a bye. It looks like Oregon will play the winner of the Tennessee Ohio State game. Georgia will play the winner of the Indiana Notre Dame game. Boise State will play the winner of the SMU Penn State game. And that'll be in the second round after the SMU Penn State game is decided. Good matchups. Clemson plays Texas. The winner of that game will get Arizona State in the second week, or the second round, if you will, playoffs. That's about all I've got for now. The high school football playoff scores are on the website at bigjreport.com. Go to bigjreport.com for the high school football playoff scores for North Florida, South Georgia, surrounding areas, that pocket of Southeast Alabama. We're still putting scores up. If we missed any, absolutely let us know. Absolutely do let us know. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you for listening. This has been the Teal Shirt Report podcast, episode show number 68, we'll call it. We got some updating to do on the audio platforms, but this is our YouTube channel. Give us a like, subscribe to the channel. Hope you enjoyed us going over college football. The NFL, Jaguars win 10-6 over the Titans. The Jacksonville Jaguars now 3-10. We'll probably break down the statistics. We haven't talked statistics that much lately, but we'll break down some Jag statistics on our next podcast and delve into a little bit more in the way of North Florida entertainment. I told you about the Dave Mason show coming to the area in North Florida as well in a few weeks. That'll do it for the Teal Shirt Report podcast. This time around, episode show number 68. Seems like the Jaguars have had 2 or 3 guards wearing number 68. That's been a popular number for the offensive line as far as some guards that have been paid pretty good money by the Jaguars. Jaguars need to draft an offensive guard and, again, a left tackle, even though they've signed Walker Little to an extension. I think you're going to need a guard. Foremost and most important, they're going to need a new offensive guard, and you're going to need another left tackle. Whether this left tackle drafted starts or is the swing tackle and Walker Little starts, and then Harrison starts, assuming he gets over his illness that he had, right before the Tennessee game in Nashville. That's going to do it for the Teal Shirt Report podcast. I want to thank our sponsors, Saucer Realty and Capital, and all of our sponsors are mentioned on the ticker on our YouTube broadcast today. So we want to thank our sponsors, Saucer Realty and Capital, the MadMaxMix.weebly.com. Check Mad Max's show out each Wednesday night. And this Wednesday night, sometimes we make cameo appearances where Max will interview us on his show, the MadMaxMix.weebly.com. Mad Max's Mix each Wednesday night, 6 o'clock Central Time until 8 o'clock p.m. Central Time. 7 o'clock till 9 o'clock Eastern Time, the MadMaxMix.weebly.com. JC has a live show on Thursday nights on Lake Eufaula Hits, live from the pub with JC. Great show on Thursday nights. And I give both of these shows requested. Max, can you play this one for me? And he plays them for me, and so does JC. Check out JC for your request with JC's show live from the pub. This and every Thursday night, live from the pub with JC at LakeEufaulaHits.com. Great internet radio where it's all good. We've been eloquently produced by our executive producer, JC, also by Alex Nunnery, and John Gaylor. Thank you so much for being a correspondent. And not only our correspondent, but contributor. We appreciate it very, very much, John. I'm looking over all this stuff, and I'm thinking, no, it's not Power 5 conferences anymore because the Pac-12 basically dissolved into the Pac-2. And I think the Pac-2 is going to rebound and add mid-majors, but I don't think they're going to be a power conference. I think Oregon State and Washington State that were left there will be the big boys in that particular conference, whether the Pac-2 returns to the Pac-12 or they're the Pac-7, Pac-8, whatever they are. We got 4 power conferences now: the SEC, the Big Ten, the ACC, the Big 12, maybe not in that order, but it could be in that order considering how many teams made the playoff. And we'll analyze the playoffs even more on the next podcast. We'll take a look at the Jaguars stats too. Mac Jones got a win. Tank Bigsby got that winning touchdown, didn't he? Jarius Jones did some cool things on defense. I like the way Buster Brown is playing on defense. I isolated some on Trayvon Walker. He was around the football at times. I need to take a look at the stats, and we'll be back on our next podcast to take a look at the stats. This has been the Teal Shirt Report podcast on Monday, December the 9th. You guys have a great day. High school football playoff scores for the 4th round. They've had, can you believe it, 4 weeks of high school football playoffs, and we've got not all of them up, not all of the scores up, but most of the high school football scores up on our website at bigjreport.com. Hey, we've done this podcast this morning on Monday morning, December the 9th, in less than 30 minutes, JC. So check us out. We'll be back again. We'll check more stats, more North Florida entertainment. Next time around, we'll kind of analyze these teams that have made it to the college football playoff, all 12 of them. And we did talk about them a little bit earlier on this podcast. Give us a thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel if you've not already done so. And comment, what do you think about the selections? Alabama didn't make it. But, our executive producer is a big Alabama fan. He's followed Alabama football for years. And he told me before the playoffs were announced, it was a few days before the playoffs were announced, but he told me he didn't think Alabama would be in the playoffs, didn't think they deserved to be there. Keep in mind that if Alabama had gotten in the playoff, boy, you would have had some people ticked off, even more so than the Alabama people, because they have not got in. You had 4 teams in the SEC. They'll all go to bowl games. They were all 9-3. Alabama, Missouri was a shaky 9-3. Ole Miss, a very good 9-3. Ole Miss is going to the Gator Bowl, as I understand it. Ole Miss will play Duke in the Gator Bowl right here in Jacksonville, Florida, is the news I've heard as of late last night. I'm looking at some highlights of Mac Jones scrambling around. Boy, he threw a nice pass out there to Brian Thomas Jr. on a highlight. And let me tell you, wide receiver, first round pick, late first round, 23rd overall pick, Brian Thomas Jr., some flashy things. Now I'm looking at the winning touchdown by Tank. Runs in from about 9 yards out, and the Jaguars win it. Jacksonville Jaguars 10, Tennessee Titans 6. Jaguars improved to 3-10, while the Titans are 3-10. So the Jaguars and the Titans, maybe the Jags got the tiebreaker winning in Nashville now, right? So that's going to do it for the Teal Shirt Report podcast. Got a little bit excited when I saw the Jaguars highlights on the monitor this morning. This has been the Teal Shirt Report podcast, show number 68. You guys have a great day. Thank you for watching to the Teal Shirt Report podcast. Give us a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. You'll be glad you did. You won't miss any content. We do have to update the audio platforms. We've got well over 10,000 listens, getting close to 11,000 listens on the audio platform. So thank you guys for listening. Thank you for watching now on our relatively new YouTube channel. This has been the Teal Shirt Report podcast. I'm your host, Scott. And hey, I'm out. You guys have a great day. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening.